Good evening and welcome into the Mafia Cast, brought to the fans by the fans, and this is your one-stop shop for all things Bills every single week. Now here are your hosts, Mike Yanni, Ronnie Eastham, and Casey Sita.
I know.
Welcome back, Bills Mafia, to another edition of the Mafia Cast. Casey, what's up?
Dude, feels like it's been like 2 years since I've been on the podcast.
Well, because it has. You missed one two shows ago, and then we didn't do one last Thursday.
Right.
Yeah.
We've been busy guys.
Yeah. How you been?
Not bad. Baby's growing. Got another appointment here coming up. We're a little bit past the halfway mark, so the wife's in the really starting to show stage, like everybody sees her, and it's like, oh, that part of it. And, of course, I'm trying to do my part and put on that pregnancy pounds with her. So, always eating good. Other than that, just living life, hanging out, getting ready, getting the crib together. How about you? I know Ranch Boy had a birthday last on Monday, which is why we didn't have a podcast. But that went well. Anything else new going on?
No, that was his 21st. So we went out and he did have a drink.
His first drink, right?
We're assuming.
Yeah.
Who the hell really knows, right?
Me.
Yeah, so it's been a long week as far as the Bills go. It's been a long couple of weeks as far as that goes. I'm just gonna let you start. Where do you want to jump in at?
I
Exactly.
want to say I was right, as in like we're a one game better than where I thought we would be at this point in the season. When the schedule came out, I thought we would be I thought we were going to win the first 2 games, lose the next 3, win the next 2. So I thought we would be, so what's that, 4-3? We have a chance to be 5-2. These next 2 games are winnable. They are, but we got to get healthier. We got to pull our head out of our, I texted you last game during the Houston game, and I said that it felt like the team was playing better than they were coached. And in the first half, that's the way I felt. And then in the second half, I felt that way about the defense and not the offense, because the offense, in my opinion, didn't play well. The offense got lucky that the defense stepped up and did play well in the second half. I give Babbage a lot of credit for that game. That game could have got out of hand quick. Gave up 2 field goals in the second half. That's not bad. To CJ Stroud. No, I understand they're losing Nico Collins, and that's huge. I think if they had Nico Collins, it probably would have been something like a 34-10 game. But they lost him. They can only do what they can do. We can only do what they're putting out there and go against what they're putting out there. And the defense did its job. I don't know what to make of the coaching anymore, really, because like you, I mean, you and I have always been on Team McDermott because we're afraid of because you and I are not the grass is always greener guys, to put it
right
in an easy term. But he hasn't gotten better as a head coach, in my opinion. No, it's been 8 years. Through 5 years, you're as your first time head coach, you're going to be learning a lot of new things. In the first 5 years. I don't expect to know everything as a dad in my first 5 years. You're always going to be learning and finding new things. But McDermott, he hasn't, in my opinion, gotten better. Every time he shouldn't throw a challenge, he throws a challenge. Every time he throws a challenge, in my opinion, he shouldn't. Every time that he shouldn't go for it, in my opinion, he does. And obviously not every time. I'm speaking in hyperboles, but I can't straight up defend him anymore. I can't, because it's just the growth hasn't been there. The team hasn't grown. He struggles when it's a close game. I just don't know what to say about it anymore. Talk me off a ledge, Ronnie.
I don't know that I can, honestly. Um, I think he's a good coach. I do. We'll start with that. Do I think there's been some moments or some questionable decisions? I don't know that it always falls on him. He always takes the blame, though, right? Um, you could
Does
see,
he? Does he?
yeah, he's always saying, that's on me. But even in that game with the three passes at the end, you could see him on the sidelines. And if you can read lips, he even said, we need to be going for the first down.
So
So,
let me stop you right there. So the play, he heard the play call, and he must have approved the play call. So is he
mhm,
more upset at Josh Allen
yes,
for those 3 plays than he is for Bobby?
yes.
See, I
That's my
think
opinion.
for Joe. I agree.
Because you look at the all 22, Allen had guys underneath that he could have dumped it off to for easy completions. The Bills probably most likely could have converted a first down doing that. But I kind of got in trouble yesterday on social media because somebody said I was solely blaming Josh Allen for everything, and that is absolutely not the case. Josh Allen sometimes, though, puts on his hero blinders, and it's all he sees, and he starts dialing up 50-yard launch codes. He needs to do better about a couple of things. Number one, take what the defense gives you. Sometimes he does it, but then, like I said, other times he puts the blinders on and he thinks he needs to get it all in one shot. We know you can throw it that far, but you don't have to. The other thing that I noticed with him, and I've heard guys like Greg Cosell talk about this, guys who watch film all day, every day, Allen has a propensity to leave the pocket too early. There are many times when he has a clean pocket, he just needs to learn to step into it and make a throw. He doesn't do that. Sometimes I don't know if it's because of past injuries for maybe the elbow or what it is, but it's kind of always been a thing with him. The second that there's any kind of inkling of pressure, he tends to run out the right side. And sometimes he makes phenomenal plays doing that. But maybe this offseason, this next offseason, instead of going and hanging out in California with Palmer, maybe he should go call up Tom Brady and be like, hey, I want to work with you. Help me learn how to manipulate the pocket and buy time inside the pocket. Because there's going to be a point in Josh Allen's career where he can't do those things that he does physically. And I mentioned this today on Twitter. That might actually be a good thing for him when he can't rely on his athleticism so much and has to trust his offensive line. The line, I think they can be good. Against Ravens, they were terrible. Against the Texans,
Texans are terrible.
Initially that's what I thought too. But when you look at the numbers, yes, Spencer Brown was bad. As a whole, though, they had protection for him at times. He just needs to stay in the pocket a little bit longer and trust those guys. And I think he can be a much better pocket passer, limit the hits and to the ground and things like that. I think that to me is what's holding him back from truly being considered the elite quarterback in this league.
Speaking of hits to the ground, you cannot tell me he wasn't knocked out. You can't. Like there's that I have you ever been knocked out?
No, I make sure to do the knocking out.
So I've been knocked out once, and I didn't get concussed from it, but it's like just a slight knockout. You black out for a second, and you wake up, and you don't remember what happened, for that 2 seconds, but you're okay. It just takes you a second to get your marbles back to you. Should he have gone back in the game? I mean, I guess legally, like he passed everything, so yeah, he could have gone back in the game. I don't think he did get concussed. I think he got knocked out, and I think it just took him a second to catch his breath and for everything to to come back. And then he was like, "All right, yeah, let's go." I'm all good. Like I have been there. So like for everybody to freak out like he was concussed, and he's the next Tua and this and like everybody was full. I saw that a lot. Everybody's like, "Oh, look, he got Tua," and I'm like, "No, this is what happens when you have a quarterback who's like 6'4", 250. He could take a hit like that and get knocked out, but still not get concussed." Which makes me think he's still made of iron. Like he is officially the toughest and strongest person I've ever seen play a sport, because it's ridiculous the shots that he can take and not get hurt.
Go watch some Jim Kelly highlights. He was a pretty tough guy too.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I mentioned Kelly in this particular moment because I've been thinking about this all day. I've been watching some of these old games from on YouTube of the Bills from back in the 80s and 90s. Because when I was a kid watching the Bills, I couldn't watch them a whole heck of a lot because I lived in New Mexico. We didn't have DirecTV or DirecTV back in those days. This is way back. We barely had concrete wheels, okay? But
Concrete what?
rock wheels is what I meant to say.
What?
Rock chiseling into a wheel. Anyways, we're talking Flintstone here. All right, moving along. But the more I watch, like the All 22, I am kind of getting a little bit more into that. The more I'm seeing opportunities that Josh Allen is missing. Because, like what I said a while ago, until he learns to do that, I think I am actually off of the train of Allen's the best quarterback in the league, and even not the best in franchise history. I think athletically, physically, he's the best to ever play this position, and I won't back down from that. But we're talking physically, just his total body of work as far as the arm strength, the legs, the toughness, like all of it is there as far as the physical aspect of it. But again, it's like a switch goes off in him sometimes. It says, I have to do this right here, right now. I'm throwing the ball 500 yards and we're going to score somehow. And
it seems
almost
like
as infuriating as the McDermott decisions, honestly.
Well, to me, it seems like Josh is trying to stay too on script. Like he's making his one check at the line and then calling it, and like that's it. Like we say, we were saying over the summer, like for him to not have to think about it, to just go out and play football. Quarterback's one position you got to think. Like there's a reason why all the quarterbacks are so goddamn smart. Quarterbacks and linemen, the smartest guys on football teams. But it seems like he's just like he's getting his two plays called to him, and he's going to the line. He's making his checks, and he's just doing it. Boom, these are my three reads. Bam, 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 done. And then he's going off script. It seemed like before he would go off script in the middle of his reads to where like, okay, if I move here, he won't stop his route in the middle of the field. He'll see me roll and he'll keep going, which will open it up. Because like, just say it's a flood concept. You have one deep coming across the back while you've got three guys going across the field the other way. You get the quarterback rolling against the flood, and you've got the guy coming across deep and just in that flood concept. And it seems like Josh nowadays would sit there and go 1, 2, 3, flood's not there, then roll out, and then the deep pass is gone too late because by that time the high safety is figured out what you're doing because the guy coming up high, it's too late. So to me, I would like to see Josh go more, just be more Josh. I tweeted, I said, let Josh go be effing Josh during the game last week. And it just seems like they're like he's either controlling himself too much because of the whole turnover thing, which I know everybody's, I'd rather have 6 turnovers and be undefeated than, have no turnovers and be 3-2, like whatever. Like it's he's had turnover worthy throws. So if you can have both turnovers and being 3-2. I just want to see Josh be Josh, and Brady needs to learn how to reuse Curtis Samuel again and just do what he was doing with him in Carolina, because he was absolutely on fire. And Josh needs to look for him. That's where another point is. Josh needs to look for him. He had
That's
that
kind of what
trust,
I'm saying. Yeah.
and he had that trust in the preseason and training camp, and like it's like if he isn't running the bubble screen for Josh ain't throwing it to him. So I don't know what's going on right now. Like you said,
I
it's
would
a
like.
blame on everybody in the
Oh yeah,
offense. Everyone.
all around, which has kind of got me a little bit concerned about this season. And you know me, I'm usually a very optimistic person when it comes to the Bills and football. But all week long, I've been following what everybody's saying. There's people that complain about McDermott. There's people that are complaining about the separation or lack of with the receivers. There's people complaining about the offensive line. There's people complaining about the lack of depth on the defensive line. There's people complaining about Cole Bishop. There's a lot of problems with this team. And I hate to say it, but unless somehow suddenly that all fixes themselves, which some of it can be, I think, resolved with if we can get healthy. I think that is part of it. But even still, like your point with Curtis Samuel, just use him as a receiver. Stop trying to make him into Isaiah McKenzie because he's not. I think Curtis Samuel could actually be a pretty good receiver if they let him just go do his thing and run routes like a normal receiver.
He is a pretty good receiver. He had over 1,000 yards in Carolina.
Yeah. It's maddening.
And I don't even remember who their quarterback was at that time. Who was their quarterback after Cam Newton?
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. I'd have to look it up.
Same.
I know Darnold at one point, but
I think maybe that was the
was Andy Dalton there at some point?
He is there now.
Andy Dalton's not in Carolina. Oh wait, yeah, he is. My bad. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I don't know. And then I watched the Chiefs play on Monday night, and I'm like, Jesus, freaking Juju Smith-Schuster looks like Mike Evans out there, or Mecole Hardman. Like, who the hell is Mecole Hardman until he gets on the Kansas City Chiefs?
Right. Well, that shows you just how good Andy Reid is. Truly. Like,
I know.
Andy Reid, to me, Andy Reid is pushing one of the best coaches to ever do it. Like, in my opinion, he's like top 3. Because I understand he has Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Tell me what great coach didn't have great players on his teams. You know, like these coaches put these players into positions to win. If people play fantasy football, they'll understand they're not winning these games because of Patrick Mahomes. He's not going up and throwing. He's not going up and throwing for 350 and 3 every game. He's throwing for 220, 1 and an interception every game. That defense, even losing the Jarius Sneed, is still fantastic. Someone needs to hire Steve Spagnuolo and get him the hell out of there. For one, that would help out. Well, we saw what happened last time with the Vikings. That didn't work out.
You know, you brought that up. It made me just reminded me how long and how many year after year were people like, why isn't Eric Bieniemy getting a job? Why isn't Eric Bieniemy getting any calls for a head coaching job? You never heard that about Spagnuolo. Maybe he doesn't want it. I don't know. I haven't heard that. But it is kind of odd that you don't hear his name that much during the offseason.
Where is Eric Bieniemy now?
I have no idea. Maybe he went back into college, I think, as a college coach somewhere.
Well, because last year he was the coach for UCLA. He's an offensive coordinator because he was the OC for the Commanders last year under Ron Rivera. And then Dan Quinn came in and completely cleaned house. And I guess, thank God he did, because they're, first in the East? And I would just like to say, wild. I was very correct in saying Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in this class. And I don't care what Caleb Williams did this past weekend.
Well, we haven't seen Drake May play either. But yeah, I mean, Daniels is having a hell of a season already. And it will probably, I mean, hands down, I don't know who else could be a rookie of the year other than him. I even saw some people, and not that ESPN means a hill of beans anymore, but talking about Daniels as a league MVP and being the first rookie to do it.
I mean, I can't really argue against it right now. I don't know if you've watched him play, but I watched his first 3 games, and every single game. Well, I watched his first 4. Every single game, he's gotten better. Like you can see they like layered it out for him. The first game, it was nothing but RPOs and slants. The second game, they let him throw it downfield past 20 yards twice. They're like, you get like baby steps, buddy. Then the next game, they let him air it out a little bit more out routes, flags, corners, posts, and then every year, every week, they're just letting him air it out more and more and more, and they're doing it the right way. Like I'm very impressed by what Dan Quinn has done with the Commanders.
Yeah, they've looked pretty good. I will say, as far as any kind of MVP talk, I think probably at this point I'm leaning towards, I hate to say it, but Lamar Jackson again. I mean, he is having a really good season, and I don't see the MVP voters voting in a rookie. I don't, unless they're 15-1 and or 16-1 or whatever. But let's jump back to we're talking about Andy Reid a while ago. I want to talk and ask you this question as far as Andy Reid versus McDermott. Do you think if the roles were reversed and Reid was the Bills head coach,
we'd have 3 Super Bowls ourselves?
You think so? Okay. Well, I think
100%. I think if Josh Allen was in Kansas City this entire time and we had Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen would have 3 rings, if not 4, because Josh is a better runner than Patrick Mahomes. So if Andy Reid Patrick Mahomes, Josh is more of a better runner than Mahomes is more of a better thrower than Josh is, in my opinion. So I think Andy Reid would be able to do more with Josh, and I think that Josh would probably end up being better in Kansas City's offense than Patrick Mahomes is, because he can do more. It would look more like Lamar's stats. It'd probably be 260 and 60 every game, because it would just be spread out.
Yeah, I mean, if Andy Reid can somehow, I don't want to say rein in Josh Allen, because that's not appropriate. I do want Josh to be Josh, but I also, like I said, I want him to be okay with taking the checkdowns. And that's a big part of Mahomes' game. Watching them on Monday night, it's not always the case, and I know that, but it feels like pass after pass, it's 5 yards or less, but the guy's wide open and he runs for another 6 or 7 or 10 or 20. You have to get Josh to do that. And I saw somebody, again, going back to social media and Twitter, somebody was commenting, well, that's on the coach for calling the pass play. They should have ran it. And I was like, okay, so what you're saying is they can't trust the elite franchise quarterback to do the right thing, so you take the ball out of our best player's hands.
I still
what
think
do you
they
do?
Should have ran it. I do too. They should have ran it once. In my opinion, they should have ran it once, and it should have been a quarterback power to the wide side of the field.
Well, I was saying even before the game that the Bills should come out and run it. In fact, I did a bold prediction piece, and I said if the Bills do what they should do, James Cook's going to have 150-plus yards. Going into that game, the Texans' defense was allowing 4.7 yards per run. Cook was averaging 4.5 going into the game. And even in the game, he was at 4.5 or 6 or something like that.
He finished the game at 4.9.
So attack that. And their pass defense was actually pretty good going into. I think they're giving up an average of like 161, 169 yards, something like that.
They have Derek Stingley and Jalen Petrie.
So
they have good players.
And you've got 2 good edge defenders, pass rushers, and Anderson and Hunter. The whole game plan to me made no sense. That is 100% on the coaches, not just McDermott, the whole staff.
They went out and thought they were going to play because the Texans played defense the same way the Jaguars played, cover 1. The whole game, cover 1. And I think they just went out and expected to do the same thing against the Jaguars, only they didn't expect the Texans players to be better than the Jaguars players.
Shocker. Yeah. So We'll see. We'll see what happens this week with next Monday night's game against the Jets. We're going to get into that here in just a moment. Before we do that, gotta take a break. Hear from our sponsors.
Hey, this is John from Game On Video Games and Sports Memorabilia. We are Rochester's premier trading card store. We have a wide selection of trading cards, autographs, and memorabilia. We also do autograph and celebrity appearances in the store. So if you're looking for the perfect gift for yourself, relative that doesn't like the Bills, or for a friend, come down and check us out at our Rochester location, 2670 Dewey Avenue, or our Hamburg location at 1 Buffalo Street. Go Bills.
So I don't know if you noticed or not, Casey. So this, for anybody who doesn't know, I don't know if well, I do know things look a little different for people that are watching. We are using a different platform because StreamYard decided to almost double the cost. So I was looking on Twitter during the ad. Did you happen to look at it? You can see me and you on the side. So don't just be making any faces or anything over there, okay?
Oh, now that I know, I'm going to start holding up signs. Oh,
there you go.
I'm going to go. What's the guy from Around the Horn? Woody.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Woody Page.
Yeah.
I'm going to go full.
He's always got
with it.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Jets. The dumpster fire that is the Jets, like the whole conference or division, including the Bills, is in such disarray right now.
We suck.
Yeah. Buffalo's going to be fine. Yeah. Buffalo's going to be fine. We're probably going to win the division. I would not be shocked if we sweep the division, to be honest. Patriots are terrible. They're starting Drake May as a rookie. Maybe he'll go out and light it up, but he doesn't really have weapons. At least Daniels has some weapons he can utilize. The Dolphins, they don't have Tua. We don't know anything about Tua. Who knows when Tua is going to come back, if he comes back.
Apparently, he's supposed to be back week 8. They're on bye this week. And then he's got one more game that he has to be on IR because the bye week doesn't count towards IR.
Yeah.
And then he'll be back. I guess he'll be back week 8. Trust me, I'm paying close attention for my fantasy team.
It might be too late by then for them, but we'll see. And then, of course, there's the Jets. Oh, the Jets. Are you surprised by the decision to fire Saleh?
Surprised? No. Did I think it was the right timing to do it? Also, no. You're one game out of the division with going into a game to where you can take the division lead and have a head-to-head lead.
Yeah.
And now is the time, which I guess a lot of people would say, well, we're going to get that new team, that new coach bump, which I do believe in. I mean, the fact that it's like basically a 500 win record for teams that like are coming off a head coaching fire kind of is insane to me.
A little less than that from what I had saw. It seems,
but just a little. But I mean, it's close enough. Like it's close enough to where I'm like, that's way too high for my liking. I just thought it was weird. I mean, I thought Saleh should have been gone last year. I mean, I never thought he was head coach. I think some people aren't meant to be head coaches. Some people are meant to be the best coordinators in the world. I.e. Josh McDaniels, Robert Saleh. Go straight back to the 49ers.
I don't think Josh McDaniels is a good coach, period, but that's another story.
Would you argue so the Niners defense, they just lost to the Cardinals. They're 2-3 right now. Like if the Niners would love, I think they would love to have Saleh back, and I think he would love to go back, and I think it would be a freaking match made in heaven again. They got him that job originally. They had the best defense in the league for like 2 years straight, not allowing points, yards, anything when he was there. And, that's why the Jets hired him. And look, I mean, the Jets, he did what he did in San Francisco. He built a great defense. He just apparently doesn't know enough about offense or, whatever. didn't focus on the offensive side of the ball enough. I don't know. And just made the wrong hires on offense. I mean, I don't think anybody is going to hire Nathaniel Hackett once he gets fired from the Jets for a while. And I also think this is Rodgers' last year, unless they get Devontae Adams, then he's got one more year in him. But if they don't get Devontae Adams, this is his last year. So I hope they win 8 games and end up at the 12th pick in the draft. So that way they are in purgatory with no quarterback, no wide receiver 1, because Garrett Wilson's not a wide receiver 1. I think he's the only reason why he had a career day is because he got like 75% of the targets on Sunday. Like
he did.
He had 12
I think he can be a number 1 though, but
22 targets, 12 catches. I know you watched it. I watched it too, and that offense did not move the football unless he threw in the football. Unless Aaron Rodgers threw in the football.
Here's my thought, and this is probably the unpopular opinion because it's the Jets, and we all laugh at the Jets. And I think Robert Saleh will get and honestly deserves a second chance somewhere else. The Jets did not do him any favors in the quarterback situation. He came in with trash. They gave him 40-year-old trash, and they fired him with that 40-year-old trash calling the shots, in my opinion.
I agree with that.
And like you said a while ago, name a great coach that didn't have a great quarterback. If you don't have that quarterback, I don't care how good of a coach you are. To your point earlier, you need that guy. And I don't feel like they ever really did that for him. And then when they brought in Rodgers, they let him bring his whole receiving crew with him.
Wait a minute.
Minus Valdez-Scantling.
Zach Wilson wasn't the answer?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say no.
Damn. Remember that slight week? Real quick, remember that slight week over the summer when Bills Mafia was saying we should trade for Zach Wilson?
I think as a backup, it's fine. Would you take Zach Wilson over Trubisky?
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. I think they're both scared little kittens.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, but so that's my opinion on that. I think he will get another shot and deserves it. Am I happy that this is happening to the Jets? Hell yeah.
Are you happy about the timing of it, though? I'm happy it's happening.
I'm not worried about that. I'm really not worried about that. As far as the whole coaching bump thing, because look, I mentioned this to you earlier, too, in a text. Yes, there's this so-called one-game bump from firing your coach or whatever. Yeah, whatever. Those teams are still below 500. I wanted to say the number I saw was like 16 and 20. But look at the numbers from teams coming from London without a bye the following week,
right,
and having to play. So it's almost like, they cancel each other out, if you want to call it that. I'm not concerned about that. What concerns me is the potential no Khalil Shakir again. I'm not even that concerned about not having James Cook, because I think Ty Johnson can do just fine. I think Ray Davis can do just fine. If they want to call it Frank Gore Jr., I think he can do just fine. I don't want to belittle the position, but hey, if they want to call Latavius Murray, bring him back. I don't want to belittle the position, but it is one of the easier positions to play football. I don't think too many people are going to dispute that. Outside of maybe punter, I think you might say that. But
tell that to the Bills who can't find a punter.
So I'm not really too concerned about the running back situation. We got to get Khalil Shakir back in the mix. I don't want to sit here and think that our receiving core is so bad that he's our only option. But it kind of feels that way right now. I would like to see more Coleman, though. I do want to see more Keon.
Are you team trade for a wide receiver? And I'm not specifically saying Devontae Adams.
No, I know. Yeah. That's a tough question. And that's a question that I posed on social media as well. And I even wrote about it too. And immediately after the game, I did write that the Bills should go get Devontae Adams after watching that game. I think to some extent there was some emotion in that writing.
Yeah.
However, I wouldn't be mad if they did. I wouldn't be mad if they did. Um, but I think I'm honestly leaning a little more towards let's just figure it out, do the best we can with what we got this year. Because look, for the first 3 games, that offense was scoring more than 30 points. They were lights out. Nobody, the defense can stop them. Now I know defensively they were weaker opponents. I get that, but they're not. The Ravens are not an elite defense right now. The Texans are not an elite defense right now. How you go from averaging 37 points a game to 15? The truth is somewhere in between, I think. And I do think that if we can get healthy, this team will be fine. Are they Super Bowl fine? Probably not, to be honest. But they will win the division. They will get into the playoffs. And hey, once you get in the playoffs, who knows? The Chiefs looked like straight garbage last year until they got into the playoffs, and then nobody could beat them. You never know. Maybe that happens. So I'm kind of leaning towards not doing it because I would rather save those draft assets. And I know I'm going to say this, draft a couple receivers, and I know that's what we all said last year, and it didn't happen. But who knows?
This season's going, as I said earlier in the show, it's kind of going exactly how I thought it was going to go. At like win-loss record, I mean, that aside, like how I thought visually it would be to where we're going to struggle in the wide receiver corps, but it's kind of a plan. You know, this was the teardown year. We can't forget that. We all forgot that it was the teardown year after we started 3-0. We're going to be fine. Everything's fine. Everything's great. That's what we all said after 3 weeks. What teardown year? What rebuild year? This is a teardown year. We're in cap hell, which is why we're not going to trade for Devontae Adams because he's going to want more money, which we're not going to do until next offseason. We're running out this year with Shakir. We're like they're beans letting Shakir, all right, show me how good of a wide receiver you can be. And they're going to build Coleman up. Like I said last year, I think they're going to have Coleman and Shakir be the number 2 and 3 of the future. And this is going to be the offseason when they're going to find either trade for the wide receiver, sign a big name wide receiver, or trade up for a wide receiver, which is why I think we have those 2 second-round draft picks. I think this year's just, all right, let's learn who we are. Let's see exactly what we have on this 53-man roster. Not that we're going to throw it away, because clearly we can win this division. But let's just see what we got, not do anything drastic, not overreact to anything, take our lumps, and go into 2025 and ball out. Because we're going to have the money to do it. We're going to have the roster, like a young enough roster to do it. They're going to be young, but they're not going to be fresh rookies anymore.
I don't know that I would necessarily use the term teardown season as
but
much as
you know what I mean. I mean,
yeah, I would say I would maybe call it a reset.
Yeah,
I don't know if you want to consider those the same, but yeah,
I just meant tearing down. Like, all right, getting rid of cut all the dead weight, cut the dead money, get rid of. If we're gonna accumulate 30 million of dead cap from Diggs, let's just accumulate 50 in total. Like, seriously, in my opinion, if we're going to take 30 total this year, let's just take 50 and call it what it is. At least we're doing it partially this year and all this year, not partially this year and partially next year, and we're free men next year. No, so that's just all I really meant by it. Bad word.
Yeah, I'm still, to be honest, undecided on this receiving core. From what I've seen of Coleman so far, I do like what I've seen from him. He had the one bad drop against the Ravens. It is what it is. But he's made some really nice catches too.
He's also made my favorite play of the year, getting freaking – I'm surprised he's not concussed from that football. Can you imagine how hard that –
The back of the head?
That hit him, and he's like, son of a bitch. That would have been my first. God damn it! I knew it.
Yeah. But yeah, I like what I've seen from him. I think he'll continue to improve. I think he'll continue to get better. And as the more he makes plays like he did against the Texans, I think the more the trust between him and Allen will build. And like even the deep throws, those last 3 passes, I meant to go back and watch the end of that game because I know one of them was Mac Hollins. Do you remember who the other 2 were? Were they all 3 to Hollins, or was Coleman in there?
2 were to Hollins, and 1 was like uncatchable out of bounds. And I don't even remember who it was to.
Yeah, it seems like I'm remembering none of them were Coleman. And if that's the case, and if you want to just throw it up, I think they all 3 should have gone to Coleman because that's what he's known for. That's what his number one asset is, contested balls, and that's what he's good at. Let him go do it. At least try. If nothing else, maybe you get the PI. But Mac Hollins, we all love the aura. We all love the no-shoe guy, the hair. There's a reason why he's been from team to team to team. I'm over the Hollins experiment.
When I was pumped, like I told you, I was pumped that we signed him because I was like, all right, there's our wide receiver 4. The guy who's going to get 20 catches, who's going to get 20 catches this year, 2 touchdowns, maybe 1 long bomb, like maybe make 1 game-changing play. But that's perfect. That is exactly what he's being asked for. I didn't think they were going to bring him in to be Keon Coleman and have Keon Coleman be Mac Hollins. Like, I didn't expect that.
Yeah,
it's like they're having – like they're trying to, like, pull a sneaky on all the defenses and be like, oh, look over here, look over here. Oh, look, let's throw it to Mac Hollins, who can't catch the football because he can't get to it because he's too goddamn slow.
Okay, talking about Hollins, this is a perfect segue for this. The pass to the throw to him, he was wide open. Before I hope you know which play I'm talking about. Is that a no?
I'm trying.
It was in the middle of the game. It wasn't at the end. Hollins, he did a double move. He was wide open. Before I go into how I perceived that to play out, I want to hear from you what you saw from that game, and from what direction do you think, like, whose fault was that?
That was incomplete. That was that Gabe Davis play against the Eagles all over again. Remember last year when we had the chance in overtime to beat the Eagles, and Gabe ran a post and Josh thought he was running a flag.
Oh yeah.
And I saw the play and I was like, that's the exact same thing. Like, it's just one of those things. One guy sees one thing, one guy sees another. It was just a straight up mistake. Now that's the stuff where, you want your guys to be on the same page, and they will get there. But let's not forget in this whole thing, Josh has one guy in that wide receiver room he had thrown a pass to before.
Yep.
It's week 5 of the first season of 4, 5, 6 new receivers.
Which is why I'm not out on this core yet.
I'm not out on it either. Exactly. Like I'm like tiptoeing the line of like get a receiver. But I'm not go out and get Devontae Adams. I'm go out and get Romeo Doubs. I'm like,
let me just throw in real quick. If the stories with Romeo Doubs is true that he was upset about his usage or lack of, therefore he's get practice, I don't want that on this team. I'm just plain and simple.
I get that. I understand that thought process, but see, I just kind of look past it to where I'm like, come to Buffalo, be the best version of yourself. But
I get what your point as far as that level of a receiver or something. I know Marion Cooper's name has come up quite a bit.
I'm out.
Somebody was telling me that they restructured his deal so the cap hit would only be like $700, but according to Spot Track, that is not the case. His hit is still like
they did restructure it.
It had to have been within the yeah, Mike says. So, Mike, I know you can hear us. Go over to Spot Track and see what they currently say. Because I looked a couple of days ago, and they still had him with a cap hit of, it was something millions. I don't remember exactly. But anyways, there was something else. The play. Talking about that play. There was a lot of people that were coming at Hollins about that. He should have caught it. He should have caught it. He should have caught it. The guy was practically bending over backwards trying to get to that ball. It was not an easy catch by any stretch of the imagination. I honestly don't. We don't know this, but I don't think it was a miscommunication. I just simply think it was just straight up not a good throw. If Allen throws that ball down the hash, Hollins is there all day for 6. He put it on his outside shoulder, making it hard as hell for Hollins to try to do the whole, almost Odell Beckham Jr. type of thing to get to that.
But which I understand because the throw he threw away from the receiver and from the corner or the defender, whatever. So I understand.
Hollins is already kind of angling towards and you maybe you're right.
That.
Maybe Josh thought he was going to do a corner route and Hollins was running post, but because it was kind of close,
right?
I just think it was more of a bad throw on Allen's part than anything. And oh my God, don't criticize Josh Allen. That's blasphemous. Sorry, people. Allen has his faults. I've been the biggest supporter. I have been on the show saying that Allen's the best quarterback in the league. I'm stepping down from that. I'm eating crow on that because I've seen enough now. He has some flaws that he needs to fix, and until he does that, Mahomes is going to be the guy.
Welcome. I've been he's number 2. I've never said that Josh is the best. I said he can be the best.
Yeah, 100% can be.
But Mahomes has been and will be by far the best for a long time.
I wouldn't say by far. I do think a lot of what Mahomes has accomplished is because of Reed.
In this moment, it's by far because I just don't think there's another quarterback out there that's playing at any sort of a high level at all.
That's true. I mean, isn't it kind of crazy? Last year, preseason, all the talk was about, oh my gosh, the AFC is loaded with elite quarterbacks. Quarterbacks top to bottom. Every team's got one. There's Russell Wilson. There's Trevor Lawrence. Tua.
I would love to see
Aaron Rodgers. And now you look at it and you're like, okay, we got Mahomes and we got Allen. Tua can't stay healthy. Trevor Lawrence is severely overrated. Joe Burrow,
he's coming back.
Yeah, the hairdo sucks, but whatever. But yeah, my point is, Russell Wilson, and from what I hear, is a third string quarterback now over in Pittsburgh. It's wild. It's just crazy. Bo Nix looks like he might be a top 5 quarterback in the AFC right now, the way the AFC quarterbacks are playing.
Bo Nix is terrible.
I wouldn't say he's terrible. I haven't watched enough to say one way or the other, but from what I have seen, he's had some moments. He's done well. And they're 3-2, so he can't be that bad.
I mean, he did throw for 60 yards in a game 2 weeks ago.
The whole Mac Jones game.
The whole game.
Yeah.
And it wasn't it wasn't even 65-mile-an-hour winds.
Oh my goodness! What do you expect to see on Monday night? What are you hoping to see? What do you think we're going to see?
I think we're going to see the Jets try to play bully ball. I don't think Buffalo's going to let it happen. I think they're going to try to run the ball with Braylon Allen and Breece Hall right down our throats. They want to be bullies. They want to be the Ravens, but they're not. Like they're not built. They're like the Jets are like fake tough on offense. It's true. Otherwise, Breece Hall would be the best running back in the league. I mean, he has all the tools to do it. You saw what he did last year. Like whatever it was, 1,600 all-purpose yards or whatever. With Zach Wilson as their quarterback, in a worse offensive line. Well, apparently worse offensive line. I think they're going to try to just bully the ball and then every 2 plays, throw it to Garrett Wilson. Luckily, we have 2 corners that can that play well against wide receivers like Garrett Wilson. And then they have Tyler Conklin and Alan Lazard. Okay, I'm more than fine with our other corner taking away Lazard and.
Well, we should be getting Taron Johnson back too.
Correct.
I did hear today he shed the non-contact jersey, so that's a great sign. And Rap too.
I expect them to try to play bully ball. the Bills to get up early, the Jets have to try to throw to get into the game, and then the flip's going to script. The Aaron Rodgers on a 200.
The flip's going to script.
Yeah, long day. Aaron Rodgers ended up with like 200 yards and a touchdown and like one interception. Josh Allen ended up 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. James Cook lined up like over 100 rushing yards because the Bills will win. I don't know.
And Sauce Gardner will have 6 holds and get called for 1. That's my
You're giving him credit
not so
to get
bold
called
prediction.
For 1, huh?
I know, right? Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. Garner's a good corner, but for the hype, he's overrated. So overrated. Like if they actually would call these penalties on him, they would bench him because they couldn't. They just moved down the field with PI penalties all day long.
Right.
Yeah, I can't see an Aaron Rodgers-led team playing that style. I think he's just arrogant enough still, and that's a lot of the reasons why this team is where they are right now is because of him and his arrogance. The Kalashnikov injury worries me, but I do hope that because of that, the Bills maybe will kind of lean on their running game a lot more in this game. Just run the stinking ball. I mean, if that's what you got to do to score some points and win games, then so be it. Allen throws 20 times a game. I'm fine with that because we've shown that we can run the ball. That has not been a problem at all this year so far.
Right.
So there's one other thing I wanted to ask you about before we get into score predictions. And when we do the score predictions, I'm going to try to bring Mike in here for that. I think I know how. But Dalton Kincaid, where do you stand on him and how this season's going so far?
That he's not as good as we all thought he was going to be.
Do you think it's that, or he's still a young tight end? Most tight ends, when they come into the league, it takes them 3 years. There's been a couple of exceptions. However,
he's being asked. I mean, I put a lot of stress on this last game, us losing the offensive woes on Dalton Kincaid. He was drafted in the first round, first tight end taken, before a couple of wide receivers as well.
He was second tight end.
And who
was the
first one taken? Laporta was the first one taken. Are you sure? I'm pretty sure Kincaid was the first one taken.
Maybe it was. Anyways.
Yeah, because everybody complains why we didn't take Laporta. They drafted him to be Kelce, to be the number 1 option, which, I mean, who's going to be Travis Kelce ever again? Even though he is one of, if not the best tight end to ever play the game. So that's unrealistic expectations set right out of the gate. I never expected him to be Travis Kelce. I expected him to be Travis Kelce-esque in the fact to where just find the open zone. I'm tired of, he's not. It seems like they have him run a 5-yard out or block on a screen pass or run a 10-yard in or run a 7-yard curl. Like that seems like that's his whole route tree. And in all preseasons we heard, nobody can guard Dalton Kincaid. Now, that's also because the Bills play primarily a zone-heavy defense. So if that's what he was going against, yeah, he's going to be able to sit in those zones on those routes. But against man defense like the Bills have faced all year, he's not – those routes don't get open. And if they do, they're not that hard to cover. It's not like – and it's – they're not that hard to cover, and it's pretty obvious what they're going to do because his route tree has only been so limited. So I don't know if that's just on the play design or if that's on his abilities, or my opinion is probably a mix of both. So I've been quite disappointed because if he doesn't pick it up, I understand this is year 2, but if it's like this next year, and we have to after next year, and we have to make a decision on that 5th-year option, are you really going to be willing to pick that up? I mean, that's a lot of money to pay somebody to prove it.
If we are where we are now, 2 years from now, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think we will be, though. I think he's going to be fine. Is he the next Kelsey? I don't know. He has the tools, I think, to do that. I don't necessarily. Okay. Let me back up. Yes, Kelsey, probably the greatest tight end to play the game. There are some other guys out there that are really good, but in this day and age, I think there's going to be others like that. I mean, Laporte is well on his way to being that type of a guy. So I think it's to say there won't ever be another Kelsey. I don't think that's accurate. As far as Kincaid goes, though, yeah, maybe it is just not using him correctly. But even in moments that I've seen him this year, there's been a couple opportunities where he flat dropped the ball against the Ravens. That opening drive, the third down play, that's a first down, and he drops it. If we get that first down, who knows how that game would have progressed from there? Because right after that was the Henry touchdown, right. And then the game was done pretty much.
By the way, this on Sunday, like whenever I think what was it, third down, that was a catch. That was 100% a catch, and that's exactly what I was telling you when I said that McDermott should have challenged it.
I don't think it was.
It was the end of the half. You have all 3 timeouts. You were punting the ball away anyways, and there was I think it was like 2.5 minutes left in the half. I
think it was second down.
Either way, but
yeah.
But then you still didn't get it on third. Because I remember we punted the ball away. We ended up not with the ball. So in my opinion, it challenge that play. You have 3 timeouts, and they still have the 2-minute warning. So had 3. They basically still had 3 timeouts left, and
there was the James Cook catch too. That was definitely a catch.
Both.
Although that was the same play he injured his foot on, but.
And I'm like, and I just don't understand. Like the risk reward there is well worth that challenge, like losing that timeout, because you're going into halftime anyway. You're going to lose that timeout anyway. Who cares? Take a chance to keep the football.
I'd have to go back and look at it because I don't remember exactly how much time was left on the clock or anything like that, or the down and distance situation.
I swear it was like 3rd and 10, and it was like 2:32 left on the clock. I want to say.
Yeah, well, and I could see if there's 2.5 minutes still. I mean, there's a line there. I do agree that maybe they should have challenged it. I don't think it would have been overturned, though, because it was ruled incomplete. The ball was moving around a little bit when he hit the ground. And the way that they call passes these days, I feel like they would have held with not did the whole confirm as called, but stand as called verbiage. Yeah. And then if you do pick up the first down on the next play, then you still got all your timeouts. So maybe that's what he was looking at. I mean, also, we got to think about this, too, though. That's not necessarily McDermott. He's got people upstairs watching these things and saying
he hired that. They hired that ref, the guy that used to be at ESPN. They hired him to be McDermott's challenge.
I almost guarantee that they were the ones probably telling him not to challenge.
But still, it's a who cares moment. If it's third down, if you're about to punt the ball away anyway, to give them the ball, and there's only 2.5 minutes left, you still have 2 timeouts. Even if you lose the challenge, it's worth it's worth keeping the ball. Or the chance that you can keep the ball. I just don't understand it. Because either way, the Texans are getting the ball. If you lose it, it's a punt. If you get it, then sweet.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to bring Mike in here. Hopefully he's ready and not naked or something.
No.
And he's sleeping. Oh, okay, there he is.
Oh, thank God.
I wasn't taking it.
I saw that once, never again.
I saw a replay earlier today of that James Cook catch, and it did look like his foot could have hit first, and that ball might have been moving as well as he went to the ground. So it might not have been totally secured.
Yeah, the angle that I've seen, the elbow was definitely down, as was one foot. I couldn't see the ball, though, so on that one. But
I think that might have been the issue, though, was the ball moving as he hit the ground.
Yeah, I can see that. So we're at an hour. Let's get into our score predictions. Monday Night Football, Jets versus Bills. Is this game at home or no? It's in the Meadowlands, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And the Giants play on that field the night before.
Yeah, that's
so
going to be great.
I almost guarantee you that's one person, at least one person's going to get hurt this game.
Great.
Well, I mean, somebody gets hurt every game. That's kind of a
yeah, but at MetLife, already the worst field. Now let's play on it 2 days in a row.
I get it. Casey, I'm going to start with you. What's your score prediction on this one? And if you pick the Jets, so help me God, I will kick you off the studio.
I do believe I might have the best record this year.
I honestly have no idea. I haven't been keeping track.
No, I'm going to say 27-17 Buffalo.
All right, Mike.
2017 Buffalo. It was a struggle. Like I really tempted to pick the Jets to win this game.
I give Casey crap for that, but
I was going to say
wouldn't.
17-13 Buffalo, but I'm like, are the Jets really just going to come out and score 13, like not score 2 touchdowns with extra points? They definitely can.
However, I'm pretty sure the Bills have not lost 3 straight games since Josh Allen's been here, minus maybe his rookie year, because they were like 6-10 that year, so they probably did lose 3 consecutive. But since then, I don't think they've ever lost more than 2 in a row, and even 2 in a row is rare.
In a slump right here, you know.
Yeah, it's hard because we don't know for sure if Kira is going to play or not. He hasn't practiced at all this week still. Which let me talk about there just really quick. I find it interesting that when the injury happened, he continued to play. I get it. There's the whole adrenaline thing and everything.
Yeah, and cortisone.
But well, maybe that's true too. But I'm almost to the point where if you can just shoot some cortisone into that ankle, we need you, buddy. We need you bad. If I were a betting man right now, I'd say he's not playing because we know the Bills are typically pretty cautious with injuries and getting guys back on the field.
Too, right?
Yeah. So I think this is going to be a little bit of a defensive struggle. I am super excited that Taron Johnson should be back. Terrell Bernard is back. Taylor Rapp will be back outside of Von Miller. Oliver didn't practice either, but Dwayne Carter had a decent game, played pretty well. So I was excited to see that. I don't know. I don't think the Jets score more than 10. So I'm going to say I'm going to go 21-10 Bills. I'll give them 3 touchdowns, Buffalo. One of those coming from the defense.
Nice.
Come on.
I love it.
That's going to be my bold prediction is a defensive touchdown Monday night.
That's awesome.
My bold prediction
I'll put the bet in.
That the Bills are going to beat the Jets.
That's what I was going to say. My bold prediction is we're going to win.
Yeah.
That is getting bold.
It does feel
All right, gentlemen.
Yeah.
We're going to get out of here. I know the show's been kind of in and out here in the last couple of weeks. Hopefully we can kind of get back on track. I hope that this new streaming platform is working. I don't know what it looks like out there for everybody. Hopefully it's good. But
I'm used to it. I think we can work with this.
Yeah, we'll be back here on Monday. Basically a pregame.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'll see you guys Monday night. Until then, go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills. Tell your friends.